Hey everyone, welcome back to another video. So in my household, we get pretty pumped about Halloween and the fall season. My son has been pushing around pumpkins in his little radio flyer wagon. What are you doing, buddy? And it's totally adorable, so I just had to paint it. So that's what we're doing today. So let's jump right into the video. Okay, so to start, I'm just gonna go through my materials. Today I am using B watercolor paper. I have my Winsor Newton Professional watercolors in my palette, water, paper towel, Princeton snap brush in a size 6 round, and I also have a pencil and an eraser, and we're gonna jump right in. Okay, so I took out our Halloween and fall stuff a little bit early this year because I am obsessed with this season. And my son has this little radio flyer wagon, and he put all of the little pumpkins in it and has just been rolling it around our house. So I figured that would be a really cute tutorial to paint that. So that is what we are doing today. So I'm going to start off by drawing the wagon. And if you'd like to use a ruler, you can. You don't have to. Maybe I will. Let's just make it a little bit better than usual. Okay, so I'm just going to start by drawing a straight line here, like that. Yeah, that's pretty good. Okay, and then we're just gonna meet up those edges here. And I'm not even actually measuring it or anything. It's like 3.5 inches, but it's totally whatever. Anyway, and then we're gonna do the little wheels here. One, two, leave a little space between the top here and the wheels. And then we're gonna do the wheels behind. So I'm just gonna have them a little bit in front and up, like that. And same here, like that, okay? And then I'm just gonna do a little line here so it looks like we're kind of seeing in to the little wagon, like that. And we can draw a little bit of a ledge if you like that, okay? Making sure it's in frame, yep. Okay, and then let's connect the wheels to the wagon. So I'm just gonna draw little lines there. Line here, and then the front like this, and we're going to have that handle coming up like so, like that. And it doesn't have to be perfect, don't worry. Okay, so now let's do some pumpkins. Yeah, so we're going to be doing a couple different tutorials of pumpkins. This is just one of them. But yeah, so let's just do some traditional kind of orange pumpkins. So I'm just going to start off with this long oval shape. That's kind of how I start off all my pumpkins. And then you're just going to go making C curves kind of around that initial oval shape. And just try and make it as light as you can. Do a half little pumpkin in here. Maybe this one's a little shorter and fatter, like that. Do the stem. Make another one here, coming behind that handle. Another one this way. Maybe it can be a bit more on its side. You can see a bit more of the top. So let's get that stem there. Like that. And the handle, I'm just gonna do the little handle piece. Oops. Yeah, that's fine. And then maybe we'll do one more back here. like that. Okay, and then if you'd like, you could do some leaves coming out of it too. Yeah, let's do some leaves. So we're just going to start off with a little leaf right here. Just do some jagged edges. These don't have to be perfect. This is just like a little illustration. And I actually might just add leaves in after too with the watercolor. Like that. Like that. Okay, so now I'm just gonna lighten up my illustration a bit because I don't want to see too much of it under the watercolor. So I'm just taking my kneaded eraser, and I love these erasers. And I'm just kind of putting it on there and twisting a bit just to take up some of those pencil marks. The Wagon, not too much because it's gonna be darker anyway. And there we go. Okay, so let's start with our watercolor. Now, I'm gonna start with this pumpkin here, and we're gonna do a lot of wet on dry. We don't want the colors to bleed into each other, so we're gonna be doing some weighting in between the pumpkins. So I'm just gonna start by grabbing this cadmium orange, nice bright orange for this big one here. And there's gonna be a leaf here, but yeah, we'll go around where the leaf will be. You don't have to do a leaf, remember that. And then fill it in with a bit more water, lighten it up a bit. I should have done a bit more of a lighter wash. It's okay. And you can just fill it in. Try and go a little bit lighter, because we'll do some shading afterwards. And then come around the back of that stem. Leave a little bit of white space there. And then you can grab a bit more pigment and kind of go over where the lines are of each section. Like that. And you can even grab a little bit of burnt umber and mix it with your orange. And go over those lines again, just to add a little bit more depth and shadow. So, and then I'll just tap a little bit more of that browny orange towards the bottom, not the bottom, the bottom. Okay, let's do another orange pumpkin. I'll make this one an orange pumpkin. So same kind of thing. I start with the outline, and then I'll take off a little bit of that pigment and then make it a little bit lighter in the center. Or you can just go over the whole thing with that light wash. Just try and go behind the other pumpkins if there's a pumpkin in front of it. Always go lighter, because you can always darken, but you can't really lighten a piece too much. You know what? This handle is going to be black anyway, and black will go over the orange nicely, so I'm just going to go over the handle there just to make it a little bit easier on myself. Okay, let's grab a bit more orange. Go over some of those areas, and especially behind the other pumpkins, make it a little bit darker. Grab a little bit more brown. So a little bit of shadow towards the bottom. And those little sections, like that. I feel like it's a little too light in the center here, so I'm just going to take a little bit more and just blend it in a bit. There we go. Okay, and we got to wait for those to dry before we do any other ones. So let's work on the wheels. So the wheels are this white color, so I'm just going to take like a really light gray, because I don't want to just leave them white. And I'm going to, oops, even lighter than that. I'm just going to fill it in gray. Really nice and light. Like that, and then same with the one behind. Okay. And then see if there's anything else you can do that's not touching those wet pumpkins. So maybe some leaves. So maybe I'll take a little bit of red. I'll do this leaf right here. Just fill it in. Drop a little bit more red in there. You can even grab a little bit of orange green. If you want to do one back here, maybe make this one a bit more green. And we can add some brown into it after. Just try not to touch the pumpkins. Grab a little bit of orange, tap it in there. And we'll do a bit more detail on those later. I think this part is dry, so I'm just gonna do this leaf. Maybe grab a little bit of yellow. A little bit of red. Okay, that part of the pumpkin's dry, so that's why I have no problem touching that right there. Okay. Okay, so let's wait for that to dry and then we will come right back. Okay, so now that it's dry, we can work on our next pumpkins. I think I'm gonna do, should we just do them all orange? Yeah, I think we should just do them all orange because I am gonna do another tutorial on different colored pumpkins. So again, let's just fill in our pumpkins here. The light wash to start. And then go back in with our orangey color, a little bit of brown, especially at the bottom here, like that. And then we'll do this one behind here. That's all good. It's funny, I'm not the biggest fan of the color orange, but in the fall, I am all about it. I love it. Can't get enough of it. Okay, so go over those sections again. I'm gonna grab a little bit more burnt umber, mix it with my orange, go behind some of those pumpkins, creating some more shadow, like that. Same with this one. Like that. And then I think we have one more big one here. Yeah, let's just do it. It's touching some of the other ones, but it should be okay. We'll see. Let's just fill in this whole white spot. I'm gonna leave a little bit of space for the stem here. And the trick to not have them bleed so crazily into one another is try not to use too much water on your brush. Okay, water control is a big thing with this. And it's also helpful to use a smaller brush so you're not overpowering it with a lot of water. Because the bigger the brush, the more water it holds. Okay, let's do our sections. Again, I'm gonna grab a bit more burnt umber. And tap down here. Okay. See, now this is bleeding into this pumpkin. I should have waited, but I didn't. So I'm just gonna wet it all up. And they'll bleed a little bit, but it's all good. We'll define it after with a bit more pigment. Okay, let's do the black outline on the wheels. Just grabbing some black. And black for this one. And then some cadmium red deep. I'm just gonna do the little dot in the middle of the wheel, like that. Then I might grab a little bit more gray of our light wash, and I'm just gonna do some lines. Like that. Okay, now let's wait for all of this to dry, and then we will come back and do the wagon and a bit more detail on the pumpkins. Okay, so let's start this wagon, and it's a bright red, but I kind of want to just have it a bit more muted because I said so, and because I don't want it to be too bright. But I'm just gonna grab a little bit of cadmium red deep, and then a little bit of Hooker's green dark. And that will just mute the red. Okay, and I'm going to go over this whole, a little bit more red, wagon. See that kind of like rustier red color? I love that. Like that. Okay, and then I'm actually gonna wash off my brush, dry it a bit, and then I'm just gonna lift up some of the color in the middle. Wash my brush, dry it on my paper towel, lift up some of the color in the middle. Like that, and then I'm just gonna go back in with a bit more color, a bit more green, just around the edges a bit. That for a bit of shadow, like that, so it's a little bit lighter in the center, like so. Okay, there we go. Now let's do some detail on the pumpkins. So the pumpkins should be dry. I'm actually going to grab my size 2 brush for this, size 2 round, so it's smaller, and I'm just going to grab some burnt umber, some more cadmium orange. And we're gonna go over some of those lines to sharpen them up a bit. And maybe don't even follow the whole line, leave some space. And I'm gonna wash off my brush a bit, dry it, and then just kind of grab a little bit of color and just like add it to the top and the bottom, just even dry brush, just adding a little bit more pigment to the top and the bottom of the pumpkin. Kind of blend it out. Just kind of messily, and it will look a little bit more like rustic that way. Okay, so this one, let's get a little bit darker with the brown, just because this one is further down, might have a bit more of a shadow. Blend it out, but go around those edges, the base, like so. Okay, let's get a bit more detail on this. Just adding some really messy kind of shadows, like that. Okay, same on these ones. Washing off my brush, drying it, and then just kind of blending out those lines a bit. I feel like this one could add a bit more orange. that. A bit more brown. Blend it out a bit. So anytime another pumpkin is kind of behind another, try and give it a bit more shadow. Blending out that line. You don't want the lines too harsh, but you can make it a little bit messy. It doesn't have to be perfect, like I keep on saying. I think that's my slogan. It doesn't have to be perfect. Okay, so let's wait for that to dry. Let's do a couple more leaves, maybe a bit more. Yeah, and the ones that we already did, you could always add the little veins. I like the green kind of leaves. And then pop a little bit of yellow in there, a little bit of red. Have another leaf up here. Just adding some extra leaves. Grab some orange, mix it, a little bit of red. Doesn't really matter if they turn brown because that's what fall leaves do at this time of year, right? You can do a darker leaf here. Whatever you like. Okay. Yeah. Let's get a bit more green. Okay. Now, if it's dry, you can do some of the stems. So I'm just going to take burnt umber, maybe a little bit of black or a darker brown, and we're just going to do some of the stems for the pumpkins. And again, they're kind of uneven and funny looking too, so don't think too much about the shape. And then have little bits coming into the grooves of those pumpkins. And if you want to, you could always add a little bit more darkness to the top grooves. And maybe some of the bottom. Like that. Okie dokie. And then, hold on, adding a bit more darkness and texture. Cute. Let's do, just making sure it's dry, let's do the hand, no, not yet. Actually, for the wagon, you can always leave it plain, or you could add like the little radio flyer sign on it. Let me just find my white ink. So I like to use Dr. P.H. Martin's Bleed Proof White for this, and I'll just grab my small brush, add a little bit of water, and then just kind of messily write radio. You don't even have to do that part. It's totally up to you. Flyer, like barely even writing it, just a little bit of a something on it, right? If you ever want to add any like highlights to some of the pumpkins, you can. that. Let's do just those little veins on the leaves that we didn't do. Like that. And then last but not least, the little connectors for the wagon and the black handle. Place it like this. And then I think I had it coming up here, right? Let me just do it over the pumpkin. Like that. And there you go. There is your wagon full of pumpkins. Thank you all so much for watching my video. I really hope you liked it and I hope you learned something. Don't forget to subscribe to this channel and follow me on Instagram and Facebook for even more. Have a great day, guys. Bye.